The summary of the whole thing is that unless I attach it, speaking about Nigeria, it will have no meaning. It will be just another academic this. So I will touch on most of these things. I'll be making references to our country. You see, when I saw that UK Trade and Investment was working with the company to sort this out, I just wanted you to know that United Kingdom was also a poor country, like us years ago. But they found three things. And they found attributes of the free market, which we're talking about here. They used it. They found respect and application of the rule of law as you do the free market things, but they discovered the use of science-based technology. Put these three together, that country or continent became rich and wealthy. The North Americans saw that with a lot of migration from the British system, and then they also adopted these with the same consequences, and it is now happening in Asia. Asia also saw this, and they are looking. So this is the menu. If we are actually to, and I say, what about Africa? Indeed, Nigeria is very critical. If you look at this country, you find that the whole continent is actually looking at three major countries. Don't mind what is happening in the other good things of Egypt in the north, big country, big economy. Nigeria in the middle, big country, big economy. South Africa in the south. But you see, when you look at Egypt, Egypt actually decides to be African when they want. Thank you. You know, so when it is convenient, it's actually Gulf and Arab, and you are left behind. When it is convenient, it's actually Africa. And sometimes to comfort the Egyptian and the North, we say Africa south of the Sahara, meaning that we are subtracting some few countries, including Egypt. If you go to South Africa, South African economy is actually very European. They used to be a nuclear power. So it's not quite with when Mayoga, the MD, was talking about, our markets and so on, it's not very South African if it is economically. So this continent actually depends on Nigeria. If Nigeria doesn't get it right, it will be very difficult for this continent. So that is why I summarize this. And so the application of science, technology, and innovation to develop any nation is actually, in a big picture, applied by any country. And there's a menu too to that. The first is you try to ensure that absolute poverty among your people is totally eradicated. Some of the things that we hang on to as our culture are actually primitive practices. You should sweep it off with a broom. But no, because we have failed to conquer this, it becomes relevant in our lives. And I have not seen a country that have not conquered absolute poverty. Basic education. Every child should go to school. Water. Everybody should drink clean water. And so on. And then become very good managers of their own infrastructure. I've not seen that country yet. So this has to be conquered first. So that people have got confidence to put the switch lights off. To make sure that if there are leakages, it's a problem. To make sure that garbage is collected. See, this mental culture starts from here. When you don't do this only, you have to go to another level. When you get this basic, then you have to move everybody, not just to this basic minimum need, but people should have all the opportunities to lead a happy, safe, and fulfilling life by making sure that people have got skills, making sure that people can actually have a job, no matter whether it is a babysitter, whether it is a cleaner of gutters, and so on and so forth. That skill has to be acquired by people so that it is the same people who are painting and paying a bit of tax, the same people who can say, yes, I am spending a little. If you don't get to this level, you are not going to conquer that again until you reach the highest level whereby your country emerges as a knowledge and learning society built on many progressive values so that you are breeding institutions that are of class, world-class institutions. You are building global products and know-how so that people know that you are serious. And then you are innovative, responding to problems with time. This is a menu. If you try to cut at the last point, you will have a problem. Because the indicators for each country is that if you follow those three things, you will see that your economy will be modern. young people coming out of schools instantly know what to do. I've been to university to study poultry so that I'll come back and be able to be an entrepreneur in poultry. Well-focused productivity so that you don't remain just a consumer. You should also be producing, and so on and so forth. Now, that's countries that have followed this menu and have sustained it, and we proudly call them the first world, developed countries. Then some countries that are learning from these countries, we now call them emerging countries, which are the second world. But there are a bunch of countries that have refused to learn. Either they don't know, or they know and they have refused to learn, and they have so many nomenclature. Sometimes they are developing, sometimes they are least developed, sometimes they are underdeveloping, or completely underdeveloped. These are the problem countries. Now, I was reading a book. You will get a paper, this paper, there's no IP on it. I was reading this book, 21st Century Technologies, Promises and Perils of a Dynamic Future, written by OECD. And I'm telling you, on page 34, it's on the internet. If you just Google this, you download the whole document. And I saw a very interesting phrase. It says, the third world, those bunch of not learning countries, the third world countries, refers to those countries, Bangladesh and Nigeria are examples that are in severe strain with no clear path to a positive future. I know. If OECD were to be a human being here, I'm sure we'll lynch it. How dare you say this? But you see, when you see the bunch of developed countries, serious countries, saying this about you, you need to think again. That's the message. It's not to get annoyed and draw a dagger. It's to be able to look back and look at what you are wearing, look at what you are eating, and then see that is it possible to panel that. And when you look at Nigeria, the reason why these countries look at us and say this very, very tough is that they look at us, we are many people, 200 million people. I am not British. When I went to England to school, every morning I get 2 bottles of fresh milk. It's welfare. They know that drinking milk will make you better. Your brain, your eyes, your spine, everything. So by coming from Nigeria with your poverty, they have to lift you up to a point so that you can be able to dance. So you don't go again breaking things and causing problems. Now, imagine drinking milk is an index of development. Just imagine that half of Nigerians, 100 million people, will get 1 glass of milk per day. We can't afford 2 bottles. 1 glass of milk is 100 naira. 100 naira by 100,000 or 100 is 10,000. 10,000 million is 10 billion naira per day. Industry. In 10 days is 100 billion naira. In a month is 300 billion naira industry. In 10 months is a 3 trillion naira industry. But where does milk come from? Milk comes from cows. And cows eat grain and grass. We have cows, we have grain, we have grass. Where's the milk? So, just to give half of Nigerians just 1 glass of milk is enough to employ all Nigerians. But the thing is, remember those 3 things they found. Milk doesn't rain from the sky. It doesn't matter whether you have a cow, but I'm a Fulani man. Our cows keep moving from Sokoto to Enugu. Any cow that is moving over these thousands of kilometers does not have milk with it. Because the milk is a tank, and I can't see you carrying a tank and trotting for people. It means you must know how to select cows. It's technology. You must know how to artificially inseminate to improve productivity. You must know what kind of grass. How do you formulate your feed? When do you feed them? Where do you keep them? When do you... These questions is the know-how. Without that know-how, you can keep your cow, your grass can be all over the place, you will still not have milk. So these countries will look at us and say, what is wrong with them? They certainly doesn't have a very clear picture of the future. And then by the time you go down, we have young people average of 19 years, English speaking in this world. You know, we have resources, everything. But yet we have more than half of the country is under the poverty line. Many of them live in rural areas. We have very weak infrastructure system. all our industries, indigenous, they are very weak. And so when you summarize this, even if you are not an OECD member, you start wondering what is wrong with this country. And when you look at our indicators, this country over this 100 years of development we have developed, we have failed to give the world one single global product. That is the image of your knowledge, is the image of your management. We have failed to give the world global companies based on our knowledge and so on and so forth. So they tend to wonder, what's wrong with this? But every time we talk, these workshops, needs, transformation agenda, 7-point agenda, you know the language? The language is that we also want to mimic those countries. We actually believe that we deserve a modern economy. We want our population to be dynamic, and so on and so forth. This is what we continue to wear. So we are very thirsty for development. Unfortunately, all these things that we are thirsty for depends on the vibrance, connectivity, and efficiency of the science, technology, and innovation system. It doesn't matter what kind of infrastructure. There is no, this is the master key, and there is no cutting corners to this. If you don't have science, and your science is not maturing into technology, and you are not using your technology to be able to take care of these things innovatively, you can't survive. This is the secret. So I took some, because I'm a scientist and a technology, people will always say, yeah, you will say so. But I took time to break it into bits. In fact, I used to model it into 3 houses. This is science house. Let's see the people. What do they give? This is technology house, and so on. So if you look at the science house, it's people with very special abilities. In this house here, Dangote cannot enter this house. He doesn't have a PhD. He has not studied core scientific, whether social. He can't, if he knocks on this door, they'll shoo him out. Yes. Why? Because this is the house where you're expecting people to give you knowledge, expertise, and specialization. They are good in research. They are publishing, and so on and so forth. But if you spend time producing only these people, you will still have to import rice from Vietnam. So you have to think about another group. That is what takes you to the engineering and technology house. These people have got the ability to transform the knowledge from the knowledge house into socio-economic solutions and assets. Literally, they give you what we call as intellectual property. It's intangible. You can see this gentleman walking on the street, but probably what is in his head is more than $10 billion. Developing countries don't have the glasses to recognize this. Like my Ogo said, we try to see tangible. What kind of telephone is he carrying? It costs thousands of dollars. He must be a big person. And then you look at the man, he doesn't have a telephone. It doesn't matter what is in his head. He is a useless kind of thing. This is the key. So, and then you must also have skills. That when you have this technology, or these people who are transforming knowledge into solutions, you must move it. This movement, which is called technology transfer, is also a skill. If you don't have that skill, you will continue having people who are engineers, they have solutions, they have prototypes, and still you do not have water. Your food is grown primitively, and your markets are very bad. And that is what moves you to the third house, whereby you are deploying those solutions to ensure that you are entrepreneurial, you're constantly surviving, and then you can now start seeing products, processes, know-how, and then you can industrialize. Then you are managing things. This track of value chain is not, you cannot obstruct it. If you try to enter at any level, you are just wasting your time. So let us look at Nigeria based on this menu. We have a very fantastic science, technology, knowledge infrastructure. Look, we have 138 universities. We have 125 polytechnics. So many of these things. Everywhere, every state has got a state and federal university and so on and so forth. And if you look at the science coming out of this system, we are in space science. We are launching satellites. We have got Earth observation satellite in the sky. We have got communication satellite. So we know this country. We are in biotechnology. We can do high-tech too. We are publishing papers. You can see this Nigerian publication. Only South Africa beat us in Africa south of the Sahara. So we are also writing knowledge. So producing knowledge, we are there. If you look at the engineering and technology, we have so many things. Equipment like this one is from our building and road research. You cannot believe it. the institution that came up with this was the institution where the South African company bought the first prototype for hydrophone. But we're still sitting with this prototype. Hydrophone is global. So we produce this, we haven't got a clue what to do with it. And we have patented. Then in innovation, you can look at, we produce a nucleoside, sickle cell anemia management drug, the best in the world. We wasted it. You know, we produce so many telemedicine as a prototype innovatively, and so on and so forth. Even education, we produce so many. We even produce Africa's richest man to demonstrate that we are actually highly entrepreneurial. We produce the richest black woman on earth. Whatever she's doing, she is on that. Therefore, if you summarize our country, you will find that within the bandwidth of science, technology, and innovation, we are everywhere. We are the highest, up to down to traditions and entrepreneurship. But, despite all these outputs, the reality is that this is the kind of infrastructure you provide in where more than 70% of your population are. Even when you produce a tarred road and then the drainage, we have to block it to make it normal before we leave. We can't maintain it. This is how we carry the children to school, if they're even lucky, in these rural areas. When they reach the schools, this is it. A country that will come and start saying, by 2015, we will export cement, we will export timber. We cannot make benches for our basic education institutions. This is how most of those in rural areas actually get their fresh water to drink. We're here, we're talking about managing infrastructure, but this is it. These are the engineers for the agricultural sector that everybody depends on. No wonder my Oga says we like the roadside markets. Because these engineers, these are the combined harvesters they come up with. And we keep saying and re-echoing agriculture is the major employer of labor. Well, these are the managing directors. This is their product. And when we process, this is Gari processing. In Nigeria, we have nearly 300 professors of cassava technology. Yet, cassava is planted manually, is harvested manually, is processed manually, and you eat it manually. These are the markets that Maoga was talking about. This is it. We like this. Perishables. They will price you one day. You know, when our graduates, even when we try to implement billion naira projects, you win, and all sorts of things, these are the kind of jobs our graduates can get. When we look at our performance books, it is about plantain fryers, about vulcanizers. Go and look at the data of NDE. It's about tailors at federal level, taxi drivers, and so on and so forth. The list is very long. The fundamental thing is that it's not that Nigeria does not have science or technology or recognized innovations. These three houses are repelling each other. They are not working. The science system is not supporting the technology, and the technology is not driving it. So, and to realize the master of all infrastructure is that there is a value of death. We have the knowledge, we have people who require the knowledge, but we don't understand that there is a value of death. Every country has to build a bridge over this, and it's not easy. And what we are doing through this workshop and many others is to turn the arrows to say, no, Nigerian knowledge system, you must be relevant so that we can maintain, so that we can build power systems, so that we can be able to do all this and so on and so forth until they overlap. This overlapping here is the sweet spot. Every country can measure that. How much of our science is becoming technology? How much of the technology is actually driving our economy? This overlap is key and is measurable. And it is only when you have that bridge that you can build. So the strength of that bridge is the key facility to ensure that we survive. Literally, there has to be a shock treatment of the whole system. That's why when I heard of the transformation agenda, when it came in 2009, I was very excited. I thought we must be part of this so that it can be able to work. Our own education system has to change from just training and centers of schooling to become research and development and experimentation centers. Very few of the companies you see here are actually working with universities. There is no communication company in Nigeria, it doesn't matter how much you praise it, that has one single PhD that is actually thinking. I know. I've studied it. That has to change. Our own universities and polytechnics must change to become production and industrial centers. We must prove, the proof of concept has to be there, so that these institutions must become enterprises who need to sell their products to survive. Most of the consultants that you see coming to you are actually professors in the universities too. How come yours are sitting there? Used as tools for collaborating nationally and internationally. When the president is flying out, you should see at least 10 professors in that plane. Not just politicians. We must also use. Then, if that is working, you will find that the human capital will change. The young people that we are producing will become innovative entrepreneurs. They will have high values, less corruption, less cheating. They will demonstrate know-how. And based on what you're teaching, they will demonstrate managerial and organizational skills. And then these facilities can actually be managed very well. Not the way we are going now. You go to University of Ibadan, 93% of the staff and students put together are all Yoruba speaking. It can't work. You go to Nsukka, 99% of the staff and students are all Igbo speaking people. Go to Zaria, nearly 100%. It's all Hausa speaking people. No, that has to break. If you don't break it, you will now be breeding the same cultural inbreeding. And before you know, people will not even know what is happening next door, just to prove what I said. Then, if we do that, you'll find that the young people that are coming will recognize the opportunities that are in this area. How can, when foreigners come to Nigeria, they will wonder, how come that you are declaring unemployment? Look at all these things that need to be done. Because the guys who are coming out of universities, we have not given them the glasses to see these opportunities. They only carry CV that is not written very badly. First paragraph is name, local government, religion, marital status. Second paragraph, education, primary school, secondary school, then referees. This is university graduate. You know. So this cannot work. And then you will produce people who will understand that the social, cultural, interpersonal is a capital. So that the Yoruba guy, the Igbo guy, and the Fulani guy will learn how to network and create strong connection from education. So if we leave universities purebred, that cannot happen. We must see that these young people should understand that they should be sharing knowledge, experiences, difficulties and opportunities because they are coming from different areas to the extent that they will learn, even in university, how to negotiate, how to discuss, how to work jointly, not how to fight. When you have these things, that the technical capital will work, so that we're investigating as a team, we're discovering things, and all of it towards improving the productivity of our country. And then money is last. But in Nigeria, money is first. When you get money first, the only thing that can come is you want to buy vehicles, you want to travel, and so on, and all the other capitals will disappear. This, again, is the value chain. Literally, is to create what I call as the triple helix. The leadership, doesn't matter government or your company, must provide political, economic, moral, and technological leadership with focus. Then the knowledge system will respond so that industry will actually drive. I know I have a 2 minutes or so. Okay, 5 minutes, yeah. If we have this, you will find that Nigerians will be the ones that will be providing the infrastructure. I am the Director General of NOTAP, and I always get heartbroken when simple road, when we want to do that, you will see our leaders cutting tape, and it is foreigners that are actually explaining how it works. When will we understand how to design, how to actually implement, how to operate and manage it if we do not shock treat that treatment? How do we are now sitting down? CCEC is doing all the railway in Nigeria. We have no connection, we are just waiting. I think probably because we are used to rainfall. You know, rainy season, rain will fall free. This is free irrigation, and then our crops will grow, and then we have a break for dry season. And because we are used to this, we just wait for trains. But we need to know how to design them, how to design the system. It's only that shock treatment. Power. My organ knows. From generation, this country does not have one single institution that is research-oriented in power systems. all these things that you hear, it's all petty stuff. But where you see 50 PhDs, 5 are professors, they have a design office, they have manuals, they are connected to the internet, doing power systems. We can design thermal stations, we can do hydro stations, we know the renewables we don't have. How will you ever have power? It's not possible. You will continue procuring it. And then you come and say the power gap is 10 billion. That's contract value. It is a clear demonstration that Nigerians will never do it. Because you are using procurement figure to actually project what Nigeria needs to spend to have power. If you are to factor that we too will have the knowledge, it probably will be 1/3 of that figure. And so on and so forth, you know. And then certainly we can provide milk. We know all this because we know breeding, we know all that, and at the end of the day, we will also showcase the world products. And these are possible. I'm telling you, these are not just dramatizing. Conclusively, I think it has been said before that Einstein himself, the father of science, said we can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking used when we created them. And you know what Nigeria does? If you have NEPA, down to PHCN, it's the same people. And then you privatize, they are actually in the same offices. How can you solve it? It's impossible. If you don't have new thinking, new ways, it will be regurgitating or proving what Einstein said. Therefore, we have to review our strategies of no business as usual. We must use knowledge to drive these things, not sentiment. We have to match words with actions. When we say it, we should actually do it. And then we have to lead and follow by examples. And if we do that, logically, you will find that when we say something like Vision 2020, it actually means there is a Vision 2014. We must be very crispy clear about that. There must be Vision 2015. It is these incremental attainments of visions that when you interpolate, then you can actually see yourself out. But you know what? Our experience will reinforce. We will wait for 2020. Some recommendations, I don't think I have time to go through them, but I'll rush quickly, just, you know. The first recommendation, I think, Nigerians are trying. They have a number of technologies and so on in our institutions. We like going to Guangzhou in China to see. We want to go to other countries to see, but we never want to see our own. We have to change, and I hope this organization that is organized a national technology exhibition. Let Ghanaians come and see what we can do. Let Cameroonians come and see what we can do. It doesn't matter whether it's Gari Fryer, whether it's banana plantain. Let us showcase it and push these people to actually deliver to the highest level. That is what is going to ensure that absolute poverty and the skills change in Nigeria. Because you'll be using your own, if you want, primitive technologies to provide people with employment, and so on and so forth. 3, we have to build the critical mass of entrepreneurial manpower strategically. When you have the concession company in Lagos, don't just wait for a road. Make sure that you have something like 200 PhD students attached to the foreign company doing this job. I am telling you, if we do this 3 times, we will know how to do power, we will know how to do rail, but what we are doing now is that the knowledge comes from outside, it stays in a box, we get the product, and the knowledge leaves and we pay for it. No, the agreement should say, there is a company in Nigeria that you have to work with, and we have quietly put professors and PhDs and say, these are the team, technical team. Chinese do that a lot. And I'm telling you, the bird's nest that was constructed for the Olympics in China, it is now only Chinese that can actually design it. And over 200 companies from different world came together, but they put in the center Chinese, not just ordinary technical, professors of 20 years in material science, in innovation, in engineering, and they say it's a company. They created the company very quickly, and then now they're all in university teaching that business. That is why you can see China running. So we too have to adopt that. You know, if we were doing it with all this, we would have known where we will be together. And then think out of the box. We have to encourage our institutions to establish science and technology parks. They must be able to graduate from just teaching, and you go to universities, from the gate you are actually demoralized. You see an engineering student, 3rd year, sitting in front of the hostel, smoking gari and granules. How can you produce an engineer out of that? It's not possible. that has to change, and so on and so forth. So I will not take too much of your time. The paper is available, and I hope you get the message and the gist, and therefore I thank you.
You know, for the first time in a long time, as a programs director or master of ceremonies, if you like, I take the microphone and I'm straightforward to say, when the truth stares you in the face, like has been done this afternoon, all you want to do is just sit down, ponder over it, think of where you are faulted and how you can improve. DT, all I can say is that I'm desirous of going to get an engineering degree right now and start pursuing some kind of advancement in technology. But it is simply amazing. Incisive, stimulating, challenging, informative, educative, anything you can say. A bigger round of applause for the DG. It's amazing. Simply amazing. You know, what the DG was saying before I call up the panel session, it was here in the hotel. This company does as part of our CSR to empower secondary school children and to, of course, advance the study and learning of science and technology in secondary schools. It's a science fair project. A particular secondary school won the project that year. They were to represent Nigeria in the United States. What did they do? They took a local leaf. I don't know what scientists call that leaf right now. We all know it as Zobo. The one Zobo drink is made from. If there's scientists that can help me, what's that leaf called scientifically so my Caucasian friends can understand? But Zobo is a local drink in Nigeria. It's red in color, so is the leaf. Now these children took it, they're from a girls' school, an all-girls school, and they made a board marker from it. And then they said, if they are encouraged, they can make it in different colors. Now the point is,